So this is the first video. We're going to start talking about actual music theory, and we are going to begin with the most basic concept, notes. A note is just a name that we give to a certain pitch. A pitch is a sound wave that travels at a specific frequency. Like this note, A, travels at 440 hertz, meaning that the string vibrates and alters the air around it 440 times every second. Pitch is simply how our ears and brain interpret those air pressure vibrations. So pitch doesn't actually really exist in nature the same way that like color doesn't exist. It's just light that travels at different frequencies and our eyes and brain interpret it as color. Now that we got all that physics shit out of the way, let's talk about how notes apply to someone who just wants to play the frickin' ukulele. In Western music, we have 12 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then they repeat, etc. I said Western music because in other cultures, sometimes there are notes like between these two notes. Sometimes that's called a quarter tone, and you really don't need to worry about that unless you're trying to learn like the sitar. So one of the reasons I wanted to use the piano with certain concepts is because it makes it easier to visualize, and this is a perfect example. Because the piano uses white and black keys, we can use the black keys as a guide. If the piano were all white keys, they would look exactly the same, and you wouldn't know which key was which. So the black keys serve as guideposts, and you can see how they come in patterns of 2, 3, and then 2, and 3, and 2, and 3. So this note here, between these two black keys, is a D. And that means that this note here is also a D because it's also between two black keys, and this one and this one. So you can visually see where all 12 notes are, and you can use the black keys to see how they repeat every 12 notes down the keyboard. You can't really do that on ukulele. All the notes look pretty much the same, and you can't really tell where it repeats. Like this is a D, and this is a D, but there is nothing that tells you that visually. So for now, let's just stick with the piano. Each of the 12 notes has a name or a letter. They don't actually have a name, unless you want to call them like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But this isn't the fucking Sound of Music, so we're gonna use letters. If you know the alphabet, you know the notes. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And you might be asking, what's up with those black keys? Those are your sharps and flats. The white keys are what we call natural notes. As you can see, there are 5 different black keys, and it's C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp. The names of the sharps and flats are based on the natural notes that are adjacent to them. And if you don't know what adjacent means, that means they're touching, in case your English isn't too good. So this is C, and this is C sharp. This is D, and this is D sharp. And you probably have a couple questions. Firstly, those were all sharps. Where are the flats? So the black keys have a sort of double identity. Like this is C, C sharp, but it's also D, D flat. This is G, G sharp, and A flat. So why don't the black keys just have one name? There are times when referring to a note as a sharp rather than a flat makes sense, and vice versa, but we'll get to that. Try and not worry so much. The other question you might have is where the hell is B sharp and E sharp? Or as we just learned, C flat or F flat. And the answer to that question is they don't exist. You can look into why they don't exist, but I promise you the answers will not be satisfying. If there were a B sharp and an E sharp, there would be black notes there, which means you wouldn't have this pattern of 2 and 3, which means you wouldn't be able to tell which note is which. So it is kind of confusing, but also helpful. So when the notes repeat, like D, 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 those are called octaves. Remember those sound waves I mentioned earlier? When you're playing an octave, those two sound waves are vibrating at exactly double the rate. So this A is vibrating at 440 hertz, which means that this one is vibrating at 880 hertz, which means that this one is vibrating at 220. So let's review. There's 12 notes. A sharp, B, no B sharp, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, no E sharp, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and A. And then it repeats forever and ever and ever, or until your piano stops. By the way, a sharp note will use a sort of hashtag symbol. It's a little different from a hashtag symbol, but whatever. The flat notes will use like a little lowercase b thing. It's not actually a lowercase b, but sometimes people will type lowercase b because they don't know how to make the flat symbol on a computer. So, you know, just look out for lowercase b's. Now let's look at all of that on the ukulele. Every fret on the neck, these are called frets, by the way, and this is called the neck. Every fret is a different note, like the keys on the piano. The ukulele is a tune G, C, E, A, so we'll use the A string to make things easy. So this is A sharp, this is B, there is no B sharp, so this is C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, there is no E sharp, so F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and A. That is the octave, A, and then A. And then it continues A sharp, B, and you know, to find the notes on the other strings, you just start with the open note. So this string is C, so this is C sharp, D, D sharp, E, there is no E sharp, so F, F sharp, G, and down the line. You may have already noticed that each string doesn't have its own unique set of notes. It's not like this string plays A through D and this string plays E through G. It's also not the case that the notes go from here all the way up to here and then they continue here and then continue. In fact, you only have to go up 4 or 5 strings before you get to the same pitch as the next string. This is C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E, and that is already the same pitch as the next string, E. On this string you have E, no E sharp, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. And that's the same note as the next open string, A, 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 A. So you might ask, why do all these notes up here even exist? So one easy answer is on the A string, you can get all the way up to here, and you don't have another string to go to. So if you want to hit higher notes than that, you just have to go up the neck. But there are also moments when you'll see that using notes up here is more convenient. Because remember, when this note E becomes this note E, it means that this note F becomes this note F, and F sharp, and so you can hit those same notes in multiple places. All 12 of the notes are available here, but also here and up here, so no matter where you are in the neck, you have access to all 12 notes. And when we start talking about chord inversions, you'll see why sometimes playing a chord up here is better than playing a chord down here. But we'll get there, just relax, okay? Don't worry. So those are the notes on the ukulele and how you can find them, and you might be thinking, I will never be able to memorize all of those, and you probably won't. Like, I've been playing ukulele a long time, but I couldn't tell you what that note or that note was off the top of my head. But I do know that this is F, so that's F sharp, and this is A, so that's G sharp or A flat. I tend to call notes by their sharp name, but flats are cool too. I'm sure there are real pros who know every note on the neck by memory, but I am not teaching you how to be one of those dudes. I am just teaching you how to be pretty good. So what I suggest is using certain notes as guideposts and using those to find the nearby notes. So you'll notice on the top of your ukulele, there are dots on the neck. Look, this one has them too. Guitars also have them. Sometimes they'll be on the front of the neck. This one has these little markings on the front. Those are there to let you know which fret you're looking at. They're usually on the 3rd, 5, 7, and 10 and 12. I would only worry about the dot on number 5. If you know all of the notes on fret 5, you'll be able to find every note pretty quickly. So the first one is G, G sharp, A sharp, B, no B sharp, so C. And if you do that same thing all the way down, what you'll get is C, F, A, D. So the open strings, you have G, C, E, A. On the 5th fret, you have C, F, A, D. So that's already most of your basic notes. I think actually it's everything except for B. And if you wanted to find B, you would go A sharp, B. Or now that we know that this is A, we can go A sharp, B. And if you're looking for D flat, you know that this is D, so this is D flat. Any note that you're looking for will be either 1 or 2 frets away from the open or the 5th fret. If you want, you can also learn the notes on the 7th fret. Those are also natural notes, like the open strings. There's no sharps or flats. The 5th fret, there's no sharps or flats, and neither on the 7th, and that kind of makes it a little easier to remember. So to find them, you can go, this is C, so C sharp, D. This is F, so F sharp, G. And if you continue down, you'll get D, G, B, E. And if you know your open strings, then that means you also know the notes of the 12th fret, because the 12th fret are the octaves of the open strings, so they're the same. This is G, C, E, A, and this is G, C, E, A. If you memorize the open string, the 5th fret, the 7th fret, and the 12th, then it'll be really easy for you to find the notes across the neck. But for now, I would just focus on the open and the 5th fret. When you're starting out, usually you want to just focus on this area of the neck in general. Shit can get pretty scary up here, but you'll know when you're ready. One more thing before you go, you may ask, why does this string go up to 5 before it gets to the next string? And why does this one only go up to 4? And why does this one go up to 5? Like, why aren't they all 5 or all 4? There really is no good answer to that, so once again, you're just gonna have to deal. But knowing where the notes repeat with the open strings can help you out with tuning. So you can like tune this string G with a tuner, or you can play it on the piano or something, and then you get to the 5th fret, and you can use that note to tune the next one. You can adjust the open string based on that fret, and then you can continue down the 4th, and you can tune, and then you can also do it backwards. You can tune this note A and then tune up, and you're just matching the pitch of those notes. Okay, that is all the notes and how to find them. In the next video, we will be going over scales. Super exciting, get hyped, and yeah, good luck, have fun, go practice.